Daniel Nieves reporting for RapidCityRush.com. I am joined here today by the two men responsible for putting together this organization. On my right-hand side, we have General Manager Tim Hill, and of course, on my left-hand side, Head Coach Joe Ferras. And we're going to talk a gamut of things here today, and we'll start off with Hiller. Let's talk about the state of the league. Obviously, a number of teams moving to the ECHL, and a new rival for the Rapid City Rush as well.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, Daniel, is that what our fans, season ticket holders, corporate partners, and just general fans have got to know or have gotten used to is that, you know, it's over the years, sometimes you're getting rid of some of the teams that are struggling, but you're gaining new teams all the time. Obviously, losing the Eagles last year was, it directly affected our attendance. Getting Denver back in as that natural rival, I think, is a great thing. We can start having the Friday home against Denver here, and then going back there Saturday, so you're not seeing the same team twice. But what everybody needs to know is a Rapid City Rush are very strong. We've got a great local ownership. We have a great relationship with the city, and it's going to fluctuate. I think Joe will agree with me too that it has been for the last few years, and since we even began, Joe and I have been in this league for forever, for 10, 15 years, that eventually it's going to be one AA league, so you can have the NHL, one AAA league, which is the American Hockey League, and then one AA league, and eventually that's what's going to happen. And we could be hopefully playing the Colorado Eagles again. It might even be as soon as next year. But we have 10 teams right now. You can play with 10 teams. It's not a problem at all. We're very strong, and the biggest thing is us getting Denver in for that natural rival is going to be huge for us, and should increase attendance this year.
With that, let's talk about the Rapid City Rush hockey team itself. Coach Ferras, number of players obviously having career years. You look at Sean Limpright, a veteran, and he has career numbers, gets a huge offer, goes overseas. Talk about those players leaving. What does it mean?
Danny, we've always had a ton of pride in the product we put on the ice, and you look at our team over the last 3 years, ourselves and Allen are both the most winning franchises, 1-2 in the last 3 years. And, we put the most players call-ups in the American Hockey League, and the most players by far that have come to Rapid City, had career years, and gone overseas. And, I mean, obviously, it'd be a perfect world. We'd have 12 or 13 guys back every year, and, it'd be an easy job for myself and Tim, but it doesn't work that way at the AA level. We want guys coming to Rapid City and looking this not as a stopgap, but on a way that they can get to either the American Hockey League or get themselves a good contract overseas. And like you said, Jesse Schultz, Sean Limpright, Colin Cercelli, Conrad Reeder, these guys put up tremendous numbers. And, Europe is no different than over here. We're always recruiting. We're always looking for players. And, they look at the Rapid City Rush and see the years that these guys had. And, they want them to be part of their hockey clubs. And when they put together offers for them, and, they know they're a bit older with Connie and these guys, 29, 30 years old, they're going to go play overseas next year, make, a lot more money than we can offer them. But also, it's going to be a lot more wear and tear on their body that's not there. We know these young kids coming in, the 22, 23-year-old kids, first, second-year pros here. These guys all want to play in the American Hockey League, and, they're not going to take it easy on a Sean Limpright if he goes in the corner. And, it's pretty safe to say that these guys, that come back from Europe, 2 or 3 games in, they've been hit more than they did the whole season. And, it's a situation that we deal with on a daily basis, Danny, but, we're excited. We're real excited. We've got a ton of quality hockey players coming in, a lot of young players from Division I, players that played in the East Coast Hockey League. And, it's exciting as a coach to have 22, 23-year-old guys that are coming to the rink every day next year, knowing that, hey, they might get the opportunity to get called up, and, they want to be the best players they can at this level as well. So it's a kind of a new day, but it's an exciting day.
So a lot of turnover, but what about some returning players? You have some key pieces of the puzzle that are coming back.
Well, obviously the big one is Timmy Bourne in the back end there. What he did in that last year, in the last 2 years. Unfortunately for Danny, he had a couple of real tough injuries the last couple of years, and Timmy stepped up. And we know when you play 66 games in 6 months, you got to have 2 quality netminders, and Timmy did a tremendous job for us. So we're so excited to have him back there, and obviously monitoring Danny's recovery time. I mean, we know it's a very serious injury, and it could go well into next season. And then getting back Mike Couch on the back end, he's a guy who's got 250 games under his belt. He'll bring that calmness on the back end. And when the year ended and we saw that Dayton was suspending operations, it was obviously huge to get a guy like Damian Surma, a guy that's played in the National Hockey League, a guy that's done it all at every level, but also brings tremendous leadership. And he'll be another guy that has a calming effect on which will be a lot younger and bigger and tougher team that we're going to have. And getting back your staple guys, your Riley Wazlowski's, obviously coming off the best season he's ever had as a pro, getting nominated as best defenseman in the CHL, a tremendous honor in a very high caliber hockey league, and man of the year. So we know what he brings to our organization off the ice. And then Scott Ray, according to the doctors, he went through surgery this summer and he'll be ready to go come training camp. So we'll have our guys that have been here, the guys that have been loyal to the organization, guys that have put on the hard hats and worked for us diligently over the last 3 years, and an influx of a lot of new young kids, and it's exciting stuff.
So the players returning, and at the same time, the fans returning, and some new ones as well. Hiller, let's talk about the season tickets. I mean, they've been through the roof.
Yeah, they're going really well, Daniel. What we did was, and I think that going into our 5th year, we've got such loyal season ticket holders and corporate partners, and our season ticket holder base is what keeps us going and keeps us in business. And what we tried to do this year was come up with a more diverse payment plan, a 20-month payment plan, and actually so many people are taking advantage of that program, and it's actually going back to first-year pricing. So when people thought we were going to raise our prices going into our 5th year, we've actually lowered them if they take advantage of that. And with the other sections and stuff too, we didn't increase any prices, and people are very happy about that. We've already got over 2,000 full season tickets sold, which is great at this point. And the corporate partners are renewing their contracts, and we've got some new ones on board, and it's really exciting because everybody knows how tough it is as you keep going and the newness wears off. But so far in the sales over the summer, tickets and corporate have been going extremely well. We're going to be unveiling our 5th year logo and our slogan, and we're very excited about that. And we're just really, really excited about a 5th year. We're reinventing ourselves on the ice and in the front office, and we just think this is going to be our best year yet.
So the Rush getting stronger and stronger heading into the 5th year. And now I'll ask both of you guys, and I'll start off with you, Tim. You had the quote in the paper. What's the identity of this hockey team? And again, I'll start off with you and ask Coach Ferras. But overall, what's the identity? Last year, it looked like you guys had an all-star team. It was all scores, and it looked like on paper the best team, but it just didn't work out that way, getting knocked out in the first round. So what's the identity going into the 5th year?
I think, Joe, when we were looking at this year's team, Joe and I both agree on paper last year, we had a great team. And you know what? To Joe's credit and to Mark's credit, we lost to the eventual champion, and it could have gone either way that series. We just figured we needed a little more grit to compete. We thought that Fort Wayne had the talent and the grit, and they were taking some liberties on our more skilled players. We've got a couple of signings that we haven't announced yet that we're probably going to be doing next week that is going to address our toughness. Joe and I thought that we wanted to get a little bit younger too. It's with younger guys, they're maybe a little bit hungrier than the older guys, and it's going to be a nice mix of veterans and younger guys that are battling for those positions. But Joe and I both played the game, and when I played, I wasn't a heavyweight, but I like to fight, and when I'm up there, I like to see the fighting. It sells tickets. And people like it. It adds to the entertainment. So younger and tougher is the way we wanted to go this season.
So younger and tougher, the message from Hiller, and something that you and I always talked about, or I often heard from you in our pregame interviews, Coach, was a pushback. Is that part of what Hiller's talking about?
Well, I think what Tim's been saying. You look at last year. We had 38 wins, only 2 less than we did the year before, and the big thing. You get beat out by a Fort Wayne in the first round, and they end up going on to be the eventual champions of CHL. And 4 of those playoff games, 2 were overtime and 2 were by 1 goal. And it would have been ideal if we had a few of the guys step up in the playoffs that were normal goal scorers. That didn't happen. But I mean, no discredit to Fort Wayne. Our guys played hard every game, and they were tremendous hockey games. But I just felt like going into next year, we want to make sure our guys that are talented, don't feel like they can't do what they want to do because you got a Brett Henley and Sterenke taking advantage of them, and we can't answer that bell. And we had a Garrett Kroenke come in, and he's a guy that obviously we know what he can do on the physical side of it, but it's a tough job when you're the only guy that can do it. And we want to to make sure that our guys, when we make announcements, we don't want to have guys that are just out there just to fight. We want guys that know that when the situation arises, that they will do it, and they won't have any problems doing it. Or, when you look at go from 12 or 14 teams down to 10 teams, what happens there, Danny, is that the amount of talented hockey players out there, it just gets more competitive. And, from a coaching standpoint, I think this might be the first time where you can get players that, might not necessarily come to Rapid City, might jump to an East Coast Hockey League team. And now I think the fans are going to see some of the best hockey that they've ever seen in the CHL. And to be honest with you, to see hockey at the AA level, that probably a lot of us thought would never happen. And so, that part's really exciting. But I think, the team we're putting together here, from a coaching standpoint, we're really excited. We got young kids coming out of Division I that are on the cusp of playing in the American Hockey League that before we weren't able to get from the East Coast Hockey League that we're going to get, because they know with 10 teams and 23 in the East Coast Hockey League, there are going to be call-ups from Rapid City, Allen, Missouri, these types of teams. So that part's really exciting. But I think definitely on the grit side of it, we have to get a little bit tougher, a little bit bigger. And, the fans will be excited when they hear some of the signings that we do have already in the books, but we haven't announced yet. And, I think the big thing is I've always liked to have a big D on the back that can move the puck and be strong down the middle up front, and then you can work around it. But I think we're looking real good.
So the Rush looking good going into the 5th season, and with that, wanted to give that for the fans. The two men responsible for this hockey team, of course, on my left, head coach Joe Ferras. On my right, general manager Tim Hill. Thank you, gentlemen. Great work.
And thank you. One sec, Daniel. I just wanted to congratulate Joe on his contract extension. Well deserved. When the owners and myself were looking at what Joe brings, not only on the ice, but what he brings to the community, it was a no-brainer. And we're just very excited to have Joe on for another 3 years at the minimum. So congratulations, Joe, on your contract extension.
Congratulations, Coach. So 3 more years on the bus with this guy. For head coach Joe Ferras, general manager Tim Hill, I'm Daniel Nieves for RapidCityRush.com.